It's time again to register for the Photo Imaging Connect conference at the Rio Hotel, March 1st and 2nd, 2026. Go to www.photoimagingconnect.com for more information on the program and take advantage of the early bird pricing.
The Dead Pixel Society podcast is brought to you by Media Clip, Advertech Printing, and Independent Photo Imagers. Welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast, the photo imaging industry's leading news source. Here's your host, Gary Peugeot.
Hello again, and welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. I'm your host, Gary Peugeot, and today we're joined by Jay Peterson, who's the guru of America for Evoto. I don't know what else to call you, Jay. Everyone just knows you as the Evoto guy. And he's here to talk about AI, how it's impacting the industry, how it's impacting how people are perceiving portraits, and more. So hi, Jay. How are you?
I'm doing well, Gary. Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to chatting with you.
Everyone kind of knows, I've heard a lot about Evoto over the years. What's your story about coming? Where'd you come from? And how do you get connected to Evoto and going from there?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. So I've been in the industry for a long time. I've been sort of dancing between, I'll call it mixed media. I've been between photography and the professional video space for a very long time. Mm-hmm. My foundation started, honestly, it started in real estate and architectural photography. That's where I got my start.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
I believe it or not.
No people in those.
No people. So yeah, I got my start in the dark room back. This was before we went digital, and then after.
You're not that old.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know. But I pivoted into real estate and architectural photography because that was actually something I was going to pursue. I wanted to go to school for architecture, mm-hmm. and I found photography along the way, and then the rest is history. So as a result of working in the real estate photography space, I pivoted into headshots and portraits and all sorts of other things, which led me eventually to product photography, which I actually, believe it or not, still do to this day. Mm-hmm. I do photograph like jewelry and that type of stuff for fun when I have time, which I don't have. But that's a little bit about my background. I worked in the professional video space for a long time, everything from cameras and optics to support equipment and system integration and software. And all of these things led me to Evoto, to my current role right now, which is, I'm kind of the, I suppose, part face and spokesperson for the company, mm-hmm. but deeply embedded with the team in a lot of different capacities. So that's for those that are learning about Evoto for the first time. It's an all-in-one software editing tool. We do a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. It's for retouching. It's for workflow, mm-hmm. and it's a pretty heavy. It's got a lot of utility to it. It's a pretty heavy application that really, ideally, the whole thesis for the system is that it reduces the stress and the time spent going through the post-production process. Mm-hmm. It's a slider-based system, and we're trying to make post-production and editing easy.
So where is the company based? If you're Mr. North America country, where is the country they are from?
Singapore. So HQ is out of Singapore, and for the U.S. team, myself included, we're a distributed team. We're all remote here in the States. We've got folks in Florida. We've got folks in New York, North Carolina. I'm in Austin, Texas. We've got folks in Arizona, and I believe we just hired somebody who might be also on the East Coast somewhere.
Wow. So Singapore, just for my regular listeners, our friends at photobook.ai are from Singapore. And so so we all know they do bulletproof software there. They do some great stuff.
Excellent. They do some great stuff. Very, very talented. They've got the talent pool is rich in that part of the world. And the team that I'm very, very, very lucky, and I'm being very, very serious about this, very lucky. The folks that I get to work with at Evoto, from the software developers to the leadership team, are they're genuine and they're smart. And it's been such a pleasure to work with like an international company that has been, is challenging us here in the States, like the U.S. representatives to really, raise the bar and improve the industry.
Is the platform the same across regions? Because I know there's like different aesthetics in different regions, right? In terms of what people are looking for. So is that part of your role? Do you communicate some of that stuff back, or what's?
Yeah, very much. Very much so. Yeah, it's a great question. I would say yes. Generally speaking, the platform, there's continuity in the different regions. Of course, there's different, there's language adjustments,
Sure.
and some of the user interface might be adaptive for different markets or different parts of the world. But
Right.
generally speaking, if you were to download, the program in any other part of the world, it's going to look and feel almost identical.
Right. So what, I mean, is it web-based? Is it an app? Is it all of those things together? For those who don't know anything about how it functions, can you just kind of walk that through?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question too. So the core product, I'll call it our Evoto's Halo product, is Evoto Desktop. And this is a standalone desktop application that runs locally on your computer or your device. There is also an iPad version. There's also a mobile version for Android and iOS.
Right.
And we do have some other products, but the key product that we'll probably spend the most time talking about today anyway is Evoto Desktop. So this is a standalone desktop app that you'll use as a dedicated editing tool. It is different, and it does not necessarily connect to other editing tools that a professional photographer or editor might use, but there is some connectivity between other tools. But yeah, it's very much a standalone. It's intended to be its own program.
To boil it down, it's ingestion, editing, and then export. All of those things.
Exactly. Yeah. It is your entire editing workflow, top to bottom. Exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things you've got there is some artificial intelligence, right? Some AI, whatever that nomenclature is. In the context of Evoto, what do you mean by AI?
Yeah, it's the big question, right? What is AI, and what does it mean to your company or your software? So it's, I think, where the AI functionality inside of Evoto means that we've taken the most complicated stuff or functions. Think frequency separation, dodging and burning, AI color corrections for pixel by pixel readout and adjustment of a photo, glasses glare removal, stray hair removal, the really complicated stuff that would normally take a photographer or an editor several minutes or maybe hours to do on an individual photo. What our AI does is algorithmically, it has been trained to identify these troublesome areas. Like we'll just use glasses glare as an example.
Yeah.
So our AI, our algorithm it's a proprietary algorithm that's been crafted to identify glasses glare and remove glasses glare in an intelligent way. That's the whole story short. And it remains true for a lot of the other effects or features that are in the system that have maybe an AI branding on them.
Right.
But the reality, Gary, is like AI is in everything. It's not necessarily just, ChatGPT and the nano bananas of the world, but, Lightroom has a lot of AI functions already built into it. It's got an AI remove tool, and it's not too dissimilar. It's actually strikingly similar to a lot of the same functionalities that exist in Evoto. Ours is just a little bit different. Like I said, we've got proprietary algorithms that power all of our stuff, and AI is kind of running the whole program at this point, really.
Yeah, and it's certainly a big topic. Now, we'd be remiss if we didn't get into some topical issues with Evoto, because you had a little bit of controversy earlier this year, and we're ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about what led up to the controversy for those who aren't familiar, who maybe don't lurk on the various photography forums where people were having conniption fits. What led up to that? And then get into the reason why you came out with that feature to begin with.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it and add some clarity. We definitely got ourselves into a situation with this that honestly we shouldn't have. Candidly, it was a big misstep on Evoto's side, and partly my responsibility too. What ended up happening is Evoto developed or crafted an AI headshot generator, and this I think was negatively received by a lot of our core users and a lot of our key customers that are headshot photographers.
So what do you mean by that? I mean, can you just define what an AI headshot generator is? Was it just taking like a iPhone photo and creating a portrait out of it?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you're a podcast host or someone wanting to be interviewed on podcasts as a guest, visit podmatch.com. Podmatch automatically connects ideal podcast guests and hosts together for interviews. We always say it works just like a dating app, but instead of connecting you for dates, it connects you for podcast interviews. Podmatch has connected over 85,000 guests and hosts together for interviews that listeners love, all while saving you countless hours of administrative work through built-in automations. If you're ready to level up your podcast interviews on either side of the mic, start today by visiting podmatch.com.
Essentially, yes. So this is a system that was piggybacked off of a third-party API that would enable a user through a web interface, not through Evoto desktop, but this was actually directly through our website. Mm-hmm. You would upload a photo. It could be any type of photo, and the AI magic would happen behind the scenes through this third-party API, and it would render out a professional-looking headshot that went through a series of different prompts that Evoto had crafted, I suppose, or written as part of that third-party API. Mm-hmm. So the whole idea for this was just to give photographers, I think, an easier way to generate more photos so that they could move even faster through the post-production process. Mm-hmm. The problem here is that a lot of the language that was crafted to promote this thing, which it really was mostly used for promoting and really brand awareness. Mm-hmm. Some of the language was misguided. Some of the language said it had some particular verbiage like replacing photographers, or you no longer need a photographer.
Right.
That's the problem. And that's where
because I was going to say if you just do a cursory search, if you look for a headshot generator, there's all kinds of them. I mean, clearly you guys,
of course.
You guys, like you said, you didn't even develop the technology. It's just tied into somebody else's. But exactly so it's more of a PR thing, I think, is what you're saying, that was sort of the stumble, was the sensitivity to the fact that photographers feel that there's competition for their work from people who don't want to pay for professional photographers. Was the misconception that they thought that consumers were going to use this? I guess that's something the confusion was, because consumers weren't going to go to Evoto, buy credits just to do a headshot.
Yeah. You're probably right, but I think that there's an underlying fear about losing business to consumers. The underlying fear, I think, for all photographers, and myself included, I remember, it's competitive. We're all looking for more business all of the time. Right. We're all doing business development and sales all the time, looking to fill our calendars with work. Mm-hmm. And I think the underlying fear with AI, there's all connecting dots here over to AI is going to take my job. It's going to replace me. And I think that's a nerve that we struck on this one.
Absolutely.
Unintentionally and in huge mistake. Like I said, this was a big misstep on our part. Mm-hmm. And it was a real lesson learned, because this was all just supposed to be a web-based experiment for the SEO team to drive more traffic over to Evoto. We were trying to attract more professional photographers. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, by, again, some of the language, but also the world doesn't need another AI headshot generator, and it doesn't need it from Evoto, certainly from Evoto. So, I mean, the reality of the situation is, and one of the major lessons learned is, number one, communication gaps. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really how this kind of made it through the cracks.
Right.
And number two, an AI headshot generator doesn't necessarily align to the way in which Evoto serves professional photographers. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important for anybody that's listening to this too, it's important for you guys, for the pros that use Evoto and pay for Evoto right now. We can't put you guys out of business. If we put you out of business, we go out of business. Right. And that's, I think, that one of the most important things that I think maybe some folks on the team were not maybe connecting those dots, but we've reconciled since, is this really put a strain on the relationship with our paying customers.
Right.
Creates a little bit of bad sentiment. So now, I mean, that's a lot of the work that myself and the team are doing behind the scenes, is to try to spread the message that, look, we've killed this thing. The AI headshot generator is not coming back around. We're not going to rebrand it and put a new sticker on it and call it something else. We don't need it, right? It was built on a third-party API. It was built on a technology that every single person listening to this has in their pocket right now. Mm-hmm. You don't need it from us. And we have way, way, way more important things to build for professionals, and that's where we're going to focus now.
Right. And do you think, because Evoto has such a positive reputation, that's where the feelings are coming from? It hurts more because it's coming from a friend as opposed to something else. Because that was a lot of the, I've looked at the headlines, and the headlines were like betrayal, WTF, what's wrong with these people. And it's because there's people who had a relationship with the company.
Very much so. Yeah.
Because I mean, no one really cares if the headshot generator out of Indonesia or someplace, they don't, it's not a betrayal coming from them.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think it's because we've got such a great relationship and we have such a strong piece of technology that's why it struck a nerve so bad or so aggressively with so many of our users and even non-users too, Gary. I mean, there was a lot of people in the comments that are not paying customers, but they felt this because they've tried the system and maybe they didn't, maybe they didn't decide to put their credit card down and actually purchase a subscription or whatever the case is. But they're like, wow, this is such a powerful thing that I even feel compelled to come into the comment section and make a note about this. Yeah, I think the reason that the nerve got hit on this is because so many photographers are using this as part of their day-to-day workflow. This is a mission critical piece of software for them to run their businesses, move fast, like get home to their families, not spend all night editing photos. And that's why I think there was such sensitivity in the industry, and rightfully so. I would have felt the exact same way. And candidly, when I learned about this whole thing, I felt the same way. I remember learning about this in the middle of a trade show event that we were at and thinking about a lot of what our users were going to think and feel when the news broke about this thing, if the news even broke about it. And as you casually pointed out, betrayal and all these gigantic bold-faced headlines about what happened. And I think a lot of it has to do with Evoto's had sort of we've not been in the headlines for anything except positive news, and this was the first negative thing that's ever come out. So it was, I think it was really underscored.
I'm just curious, as a business where you have to manage the customer facing piece, right? What was the conversations back to the home office about this? Were they getting this from other regions too? Or so this is a global phenomenon?
No, not so much a global phenomenon. This this was very much, I can say with some degree of confidence, very much isolated to North America in the US market. We didn't really hear much chatter from the other territories or regions where we operate globally. And perhaps part of that, I mean, a lot of our market is over in the greater parts of Asia too. And like Korea and Japan, as an example, they're accustomed to these things. They've had these, I think they're more familiar with these generative tools. And yeah, I mean, that's one part of it. The answer to the other part of your question is, so what did some of our customers actually reach out to us with and share? And honestly, the response was overwhelmingly positive from a lot of the operators that are very confident in their business. I got a lot of phone calls from people going, hey, I just wanted to hear from you directly. What happened? And I'll explain the story and tell them full transparency, what happened, like I shared with you. And then they go, I'm really not worried about it. My business is built on trust and relationships and great products. And these generative tools are not going to do anything to interrupt my business. They're going to help me in my business. And my job is to figure out how to take advantage of these new tools that come out. So I'm really not worried, but I wanted to talk to you and figure out what the real story was.
Because I think one of the things that the industry is wrestling with, just on a macro level, is this whole what's allowable in terms of a portrait, in terms of, because we've been wrestling with that sort of idea since the early days of Photoshop. What can you do in a picture to keep it a picture versus an illustration? I think generative AI has sort of crossed that bridge as well, but on the other hand, like you said, the people who are really good at what they do as a photographer are really not, they're capturing moments. They're leveraging authenticity, if you will. And maybe they're using a tool like Evoto to enhance that authenticity, to reinforce that message, not replace it.
Exactly. You took the word out of my mouth. I was thinking of specifically the word authenticity as you were sharing with me. That's exactly it. And this is why Evoto has become so prevalent and so widely adopted in the industry too, it's the authenticity part. I remember back in 2024, we heard a lot about, is this Facetune? Is this an alternative to Facetune? Right.
Exactly.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So and then people, a lot of people, they got some credit They played with the system. They spent some time with Evoto, and then they realized, oh, this is how I keep the authenticity part of photography, digital photography, alive, and how I can differentiate myself because I'm able to move so quickly. This is something of like not just a time machine where I can like move really quickly through my editing, but also I can keep that high degree of realism to my photos and not push it. Because everybody's had a bad experience using the Facetune app at some point where it's like, okay, this kind of looks like me, but it's not really me.
Right.
And this is not that. This is for professionals by professionals for keeping genuine digital photography. How do I say? In the appropriate lane, I'll say.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hubbub out there right now. You know, when we're recording this, there's some industry issues in the volume market regarding high profile players who are getting backlash over even alleged attachments to some controversial figures. And it's a big PR problem, right? What AI is, because the end users, whether they're the casual photographers who could be replaced by a headshot generator because they're not very good, to consumers who don't understand what AI is, and they think that, you know, Epstein was looking at their kids' pictures on the LifeTouch galleries, right? I mean, it's just so. What kind of work do you think the industry needs to do, as from an education standpoint, to calm people down, if you will? Because there's a lot of just, I'm going to use the word stupidity. There's stupid, and stupid people have loud voices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to respectfully agree with you. I think it's easy to get worked up over certain things, topics like look, school photography as a topic, if that's what we're talking about here. There's a lot of sense. Nobody wants their children's photos to be accessible to anybody except the service provider and them. Period. Full stop. Right. So the answer to your question is that I think a lot of it, and this is a discussion that we need to have as the software providers in the industry that touch these things, that process these photos, we need to offer transparency and make it easy to understand what's happening in simple terms, not in industry jargon that only a few of us are going to understand.
We're SOC 2 compliant and etc.
That's it. It's those types of things, the ISO certifications and SOC 2 and, you know, all of these different things that, you know, the parents don't necessarily care about. And it makes it difficult for the photography service providers to explain to the parents. We need to make it easy for everybody to share with everybody about what actually happens with these photos, who is actually reviewing them, who isn't able to review them, and what happens to these photos after I get my print package mailed to my house. What happens to these photos, right? I mean, this is more of a conversation for the big, the photo service providers to have, but for us on the software side, we are directly having those conversations with our customers who are the people behind those cameras. So it's very much top of mind right now, as you mentioned, with all the news that's going on in the world. And a lot of this ties back to, in the photo industry, we don't have an emphasis on good PR communications. And this is a whole other topic that a lot of us need to really, and myself included, with the whole AI headshot generator, we need to focus more time, effort, and energy into how we're communicating with the world, with everybody that's looking at us.
Because there's a lot of confusion, like, you know, AI, when you hear things about, well, it's trained on pictures and everything else. And the AI was trained on my kids' pictures, and it's, well, probably not. There's all kinds of
certainly not. Yeah.
And the other thing that's weird to me, just from the sort of the lack of education standpoint, there's certain other providers of imaging services like Google Photos or whatever who are doing way more of that kind of stuff than little old Evoto and even LifeTouch and some of these other companies, right? They're doing way more invasive AI stuff.
Yeah, well, right, terms and conditions that most people aren't reading. So it's the devil, you know, I suppose. It's I mean, to your point, it's one of those things where it's like you're choosing convenience over fighting being resistant to signing off on those T's and C's. And look, I mean, I can speak to Evoto specifically. Our position is we do local processing. We don't do any cloud processing. Everything with Evoto is local on the user's desktop and or on their local machine. We have a no-touch policy. We cannot review any user's photos, and we intend to keep it this way. We want to keep it this way for safety reasons, for continuity reasons, for transparency reasons. It's a lot easier for us. And also, Gary, like the enormous cost that would come with cloud processing and hosting our users. We're talking about, I don't even know, hundreds of millions, maybe several billions of images. We're not going to front the bill for hosting all those images in order to generate new models, when we can do this by easily licensing photos or paying for photos from our users that volunteer them to us, which is how we always do things. We build things based on feedback. And then when we get that feedback, we have really, really lovely conversations with our users that go, yeah, I'd love to have a straight hair removal function. Great. Can you send me some photos and we'll pay you for them? And they go, absolutely. There's a way to be trustworthy and to not overstep boundaries or create weird, dark gray areas or ambiguity in how you build your software tools. Right. And that's been a big learning lesson from us. We've been very fortunate that it was already architected this way. This was already the way that we did business. Right. And coming out of this whole AI headshot generator thing and all this controversy, thank goodness that this is already a part of our business model. Yeah. Thank goodness. Yeah. Yeah, we do everything I can say confidently now, especially in retrospect and having sat down literally face to face with the people involved and what happened with us. Everything is definitely ethical and definitely above board. And I wouldn't publicly say that if I felt any differently. We've got our act together, and we're in a very, very fortunate position. The rest of it is, a lot of it is just public perception at this point, like you said, with.
Well, and part of the problem you've got is, sadly, we do live in a culture and an environment where there are people, influencers, bloggers, thought leaders, in quotes, who benefit from generating this controversy, right? Because they're going to get clicks, views, and whatnots from this. So for them to propagate and do a blog post about, I feel betrayed, and I'm not singling out anyone specifically, but it sure looked like there was a lot of that where, back 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't that incentive where you'd have somebody who's, quote, a thought leader, and they have to come up with content continuously. So they're looking for things to complain about. And in part, that's where this LifeTouch scandal, if you can call it that, is coming from. Somebody was looking for something to do, some connection they could make more of, and exploited it. When you think about it, and again, I'm not defending Apollo and all these things, but LifeTouch is a very small portion of their portfolio, and no one's going ape because of StubHub is owned by Apollo, right?
Right. Or any of the other, I don't know, hundreds of companies that they own in their portfolio, right? Nobody's going after these other companies. Yeah. All I can really say is, one of the big lessons that I think that we learned coming out of our recent incident is the public response, the PR response. Number one, if it's written in legalese, if it's all, the legal team drafted a response, it's going to fall on deaf ears. Your customers, the people that are paying you guys, and your loyal users they're going to be upset. They're going to be frustrated because it's going to feel disingenuous and it's not going to feel authentic. I learned that very quickly in the comment section. And then the second thing is you really have to put a face to these things, which is why I've been on the phone and I've been trying to do as many interviews and have conversations as possible to represent the brand and show people that we are people. There are actual people that work at this company. You've seen us at the trade shows, but we really do work at this company and we really do care about what's going on and how you guys feel. And that's, I think, maybe a big lesson for the folks at LifeTouch right now is like they need to figure out a way to not just share public responses, but get in front of this thing in a meaningful way that matters to people. Like how Evoto builds based on feedback, you need to listen to the feedback from the folks that are actually, paying you and care about your services. Right. And that's again, one of the huge lessons that I learned coming out of this whole incident thing is hopefully nothing ever happens again, but in the event that we do misstep or make another mistake in the future, I've got a better understanding of how Evoto can better respond to that incident in the future if it happens.
From an AI standpoint, just pivot a little bit and talk, because we're talking controversy. That's all the part that's going to get clipped and everyone's going to talk about. But I'm a little concerned for people like yourself who have applications that you subscribe to, when in an AI world, maybe I can go to ChatGPT, drop in a picture and say, eyeglass removal, and do these things, and it's going to find a function or create the code and do it without even having an application. We could be heading towards a world where Photoshop goes away or Lightroom goes away. And well, Evoto will be here forever because you always listen to your customers. But what are your kind of thoughts about this world we're going to, or maybe it's not even an application-ish world?
$1 million question. I have two thoughts about this. I have maybe two different frames of mind about this. Number one is from a photography perspective and from like a post-production perspective, by any means necessary. Whatever is going to help us move fast and like not have to sit in front of a monitor editing, we're about. And Evoto is a very, very innovative company. We like to move fast, as all of our users know. We like to innovate and move as quickly as possible with developing and rolling out new features and innovating or optimizing existing features. So I think that we're about it. I think that we're optimistic. We'll stay optimistic on that one. On the other hand, we want to continue to make. We believe that there is space for everybody in the industry that wants to be a part of the photo or the photo editing industry. And again, we're going to move into video in the future too, and the same thing for video post production as well, or video retouching, we'll call it. What a time to be alive. We'll see what happens with these new tools that exist, these agentic tools where. Yeah, well, I mean, I'll remain optimistic, and I'll remain an optimist on this thing, but it's a very interesting time, especially right now. I mean, we're talking right now, February of 2026, and there's news breaking about all these new video generative tools that are creating ending scenes and new clips in movies that shouldn't exist. And
right.
I mean, what a time to be alive. We can't possibly know what's going to happen tomorrow or 6 months or a year from now, let alone 5 years from now. I think Evoto we as an organization will continue to move fast and innovate, and hopefully we'll stick with the curve. But what an interesting time and technology to see what's going on, right?
Well, you can't top that summation. So where can people go for more information about Evoto and test drive this beast or buy more credits or do something?
Sure. Yeah. Easy enough. Evoto.ai is the website where you can download it. You can try it for free. It's free to download, free to use. We do offer test accounts or test trials, so you can actually get some free credits just for signing up for an account. And you can check out all of the other Evoto products on the website as well. We've got Evoto Instant, Evoto Video, Evoto iPad, and some other tools that are also web-based editors that are on the product page.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jay. Thanks for your candor and honesty. We do appreciate that, and look forward to seeing you soon at one of those mini trade shows that you attend.
Likewise, Gary. Great to see you. Thanks for having me on. I've been looking forward to this. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. Read more great stories and sign up for the newsletter at www.thedeadpixelssociety.com.